لأول لحظة في العمر ألقاه، فلو أدري الكلام قلت أهواه. رفيق الساعة الأولى أنست به، فعشت بحب ما أوحى به الله. وسابقت الأحبة في تلاوته، وأنعم حين ألقاهم بلقياه. ولي شيخ إذا رتلت ألمحه، تقبلني من الإعجاب عيناه.
Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Last night we completed the 27th juz, and in it we have some very beautiful surahs. And the one that I'm going to talk about is Surah An-Najm, the first few ayat. And this is actually, if you read this surah, and the one after that also, Surah Al-Qamar, the one after that, Surah Ar-Rahman, it becomes very evident that these words are not the words of a human, and especially not the words of a person who is unlettered, doesn't know how to read or write. Why? Because these surahs, these are very rhythmical surahs. They rhyme, and they are very and they rhyme, and the wording is completely complete. You see what happens in Arabic poetry, if people are familiar with it, what the Arab poets used to do, they used to cut up words to try to make the rhyme and the rhythm fall into place. If you look at these words, look at these sentences, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not cut up any words to make the words rhyme. The sentences are completely complete, and yet they continue to rhyme. So Surah An-Najm, وَالنَّجْمِ إِذَا هَوَى مَا ضَلَّ صَاحِبُكُمْ وَمَا غَوَى وَمَا يَنطِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَى إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيُ يُوحَى. It just continues with the sound at the end, right until the end of the surah. Surah Al-Qamar, and again, amazing, it's a surah which ends all the way through with Ra. اقتربت الساعة وانشق القمر وإن يروا آية يعرضوا ويقولوا سحر مستمر. Every single ayah ends with Ra. And then the surah after that, Surah Ar-Rahman, it ends with words mostly which ends with An. Ar-Rahman, Allama al-Quran, Khalaqa al-Insan, Allamahu al-Bayan, all the way through. We all know that verse, right? فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. Okay, so that's Surah Ar-Rahman. All three surahs are Makki surahs, and the general trend of Makki surahs is talks about the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the truthfulness, talking about the truthfulness of the message that the Prophet ﷺ has brought, and condemning the disbelievers who reject the message that the Prophet ﷺ has brought, the truth that has been brought to them. So Surah An-Najm is a surah which was revealed at the beginning of Islam, around the 5th of the year of prophethood. And according to Mufassirin, it is the first surah in which the Sajdatul Tilawah was revealed. And this surah was so powerful that the Prophet ﷺ, he gathered all the Quraysh one day and he recited it in front of them. He read it all completely, and the last verse is an ayat of sajda. When he read this ayat of sajda, the Muslims fell down in prostration, and the disbelievers, they couldn't help themselves also. They all fell down in prostration too, except for a couple of them, one of them being Umayyah bin Khalaf, who basically took some sand and put it on his forehead, and he said, "That's enough for me." And of course, he died a miserable death later on. But the power of the surah was evident that even the disbelievers, they could not help themselves when the command came at the end. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded the people that fall down in prostration and worship. They all fell down and made sajda. And it was also because of this misunderstanding that the people in Abyssinia, who had migrated to escape the persecution, they heard about this, sudden prostration of the disbelievers, and they thought that everybody had become Muslim. So they thought that it's time now to go back home, because now we don't need refuge in Abyssinia. So they left, went back home, realized that the situation was pretty much the same, and this led to the second migration to Abyssinia. In any case, I'm going to talk about the first few ayat of Surah An-Najm. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He takes an oath by An-Najm. وَالنَّجْمِ إِذَا هَوَى. I swear by the star. What is this star? Some scholars say it refers to Thuraya, a specific star that the Arabs used to know and like and used to use as guidance. Some say it refers to the planet Venus. Arabs used to actually use the word An-Najm to talk about a specific type of star. Okay, so generally speaking, what we say is, when we say the north, it doesn't necessarily mean exactly up north. When we say the north, it means anything that is north from here, even though that we may travel in a northeast direction or a northwest direction, but anything north of here we regard as north. So similarly, the people used to use the word An-Najm to talk about a specific star. The scholars differ as to what that star was. So some say that it refers to Thuraya, some say it refers to the planet Venus. And specifically planet Venus, even amongst the Western understanding, the planet Venus is known as the morning star. And you may, if you have ever come for Fajr, right after dawn, if you looked in the horizon, you will see a specific bright star. It's much brighter than anything else, and it's usually more prevalent in the morning time. And it's very, very bright. So this is actually the planet Venus. It's not a star. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَالنَّجْمِ إِذَا هَوَى. When I swear by the star when it sets. إِذَا هَوَى, when it sets. What happens when the stars set? It means that the daytime has emerged, right? And Venus, being the star which even shines after dawn time, and even after that disappears, it means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is swearing by the time when the daylight is very, very clear, to such an extent that even the brightest of the stars has disappeared. So Allah says, I swear by the star when it sets, meaning when the daylight has completely appeared and the darkness has disappeared. And then, so that's the oath. What is the Jawab al-Qasam? مَا ضَلَّ صَاحِبُكُمْ وَمَا غَوَى. Your companion is not misguided, nor is he astray. So what's the connection between the Qasam and the Jawab al-Qasam? The Qasam is when you say, I swear by Allah, and whatever follows that is known as Jawab al-Qasam. So the first ayah was the Qasam, I swear by the star when it sets, meaning it's broad daylight now. I swear by the broad daylight. And the Jawab al-Qasam is that your companion is not astray, nor is he misguided. What it means is that the Prophet ﷺ, his bringing you the wahi and the revelation and the message of Islam, it's not something that he took out of the darkness. It's something that is clear as day. It's clear as the daylight you see after the stars have disappeared. This message is pure and pristine and clear, and not to be confused as you might be confused in the night time when it's dark. It cannot be confused because it is something which is as clear as the day. And also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses the word sahibukum here, your companion. The Prophet ﷺ is referred to as your companion, your friend, the person who's been with you for the past 45 years, the person you've known to be a Sadiq al-Amin, not a stranger that suddenly appeared and you've never seen him before. You've known his truthfulness, you've known his character, you've known his integrity. So how come all of a sudden when he brings this message of truth, you are now saying it's false? So he's not astray, he's not misguided. وَمَا يَنْطِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيُ يُوحَىٰ. And he's not talking from his desires. What he's saying is, indeed it is a wahi that has been revealed to him from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this has two meanings. وَمَا يَنْطِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ. It can mean that it's not that the Prophet ﷺ chose this responsibility upon himself just as a pastime or something that he wanted to do or something that he chose to do or he was inclined to do as some type of a pastime. it is a huge responsibility that he didn't want to take. Okay, when he got the message from Jibreel alayhi salam that he was to be a prophet, he said, how can I do this? And he was upset and worried for a long time that how can I take this responsibility and take the message. So وَمَا يَنْتِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ means that it's not something that he wants to do. It's not something that he chose to do, but it was put upon him, that responsibility was given to him. And the second meaning is that whatever he says, it's not from his desire, but it is a revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that is given to him. So in two forms, either the Quran that is revealed to him, that is a wahi, and also the hadith that he says to you, meaning religious teaching that he gives you, that is also wahi from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and inspired to him by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now also remember that the Prophet ﷺ used to say things which were of a worldly nature and were not religiously inclined, that were not related to religion. So those things would be things that he said from himself. Okay, so there's a very famous incident that happened where the Prophet ﷺ told the farmers that were planting date palm trees, why don't you do this with your trees? And he guided them to do a certain thing with their trees. And they did it, and the crop failed. They came and complained to the Prophet ﷺ and said, Ya Rasulullah, you told us to do this, and this happened, our crop failed, and we got no dates. So the Prophet ﷺ responded by saying, Antum a'lamu bidunyakum, you know more about your dunya than myself. I don't know anything about it, I just gave a suggestion. Okay, so sometimes when he's talking about worldly things, then that was something that was from himself, that was not a form of wahi. So other than that, religious teaching, religious instruction, things related to the hereafter, these were things that the Prophet ﷺ was inspired by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the hadith that he mentioned was a form of wahi in addition to the Quran. عَلَّمَهُ شَدِيدُ الْقُوَى. This was taught to him by the one of severe strength, meaning Jibreel alayhi salam. Jibreel alayhi salam, ذِي قُوَّةٍ عِنْدَ ذِي الْعَرْشِ مَكِينٍ مُطَاعٍ ثَمَّ أَمِينٍ. It's mentioned in Surah Takwir. He is ذِي قُوَّة, he has the strength, and he is makeen, he has a position with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's one of the closest angels to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So here, عَلَّمَهُ شَدِيدُ الْقُوَى, the one that has the strong strength, he is the one that taught him. ذُو مِرَّةٍ فَاسْتَوَى. ذُو mirra means, some scholars they say that it means also strength. Others say ذُو رَأْيٍ, meaning he has a rai himself, he has a conviction himself, he has an opinion himself. ذُو mirra فَاسْتَوَى, and he is elevated. وَهُوَ بِالْأُفُقِ الْأَعْلَى, while he was in the highest horizon. So the Prophet ﷺ saw him while he was in the horizon. He saw him in his original shape. What horizon? Some scholars say it refers to the eastern horizon, but other scholars say that if you look at the sky in any direction, that's a horizon. So the Prophet ﷺ saw Jibreel alayhi salam in his original form in the horizon, and he saw him basically filling up the sky. ثُمَّ دَنَا فَتَدَلَّى. After he was in his original shape, he came close to the Prophet ﷺ, and then he came even closer. Dana means close, فَتَدَلَّى, he became even closer. فَكَانَ قَابَ قَوْسَيْنِ أَوْ أَدْنَى. And the closeness or the distance was the distance of qawsain. Qaws means the bow, when you have the bow and arrow. So this is the qaws. So he was as close as 2 qaws or even closer. And some scholars refer to qaws as dhira', which means the cubit, meaning the distance between your hand and the elbow, dhira'. So he was 2 dhira' close to the Prophet ﷺ when he gave the revelation to him. فَأَوْحَى إِلَىٰ عَبْدِهِ مَا أَوْحَى. And he gave him the revelation to his slave, whatever he wanted to reveal. So this is referring to the general method of revelation when Jibreel alayhi salam used to come to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. مَا كَذَبَ الْفُؤَادُ مَا رَأَى. The heart did not lie about what it had seen. Meaning that the Prophet ﷺ actually saw Jibreel alayhi salam. It was not something that he imagined. It was not something that it was in his mind. It was something that he physically saw with his own eyes. أَفَتُمَارُونَهُ عَلَى مَا يَرَى? Are you disputing with him about what he saw or what he's seeing? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing the Quraysh and telling them that there's no use in disputing. What he's saying is the complete truth. Now keep in mind also that some scholars have referred to the seeing of the Prophet ﷺ as the seeing of Allah. Instead of Jibreel, they interpret these verses to mean Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself. But there are hadith to indicate that the Prophet ﷺ didn't ever see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with his physical eyes. So there's a hadith in which Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, she asked the Prophet ﷺ, did you ever see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on Laylatul Mi'raj, for example? Did you see him? So he said, Nurun anna arahu. He was Nur, how can I see him? So the chosen opinion here is that it was Jibreel alayhi salam that is being talked about and not Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So these are the verses which refer to that. وَلَقَدْ رَآهُ نَزْلَةٌ أُخْرَى عِنْدَ سِدْرَةِ الْمُنْتَهَى. And he saw Jibreel alayhi salam in his original form at another time at Sidratul Muntaha, at the low tree which is right at the end. There's a low tree which is growing at the furthest distance. Some scholars say the sixth sky, some scholars say the seventh sky. But this low tree, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows the reality of what it is and why it's growing there. But Jibreel alayhi salam was shown to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam at this low tree on the night of Mi'raj also. عندها جنة المأوى. Where is this low tree? It is at a Jannah which is known as Jannatul Ma'wa, the paradise which is known as Jannatul Ma'wa. Al-Ma'wa refers to, from Awa Ya'wi, it means the place of abode or the place of refuge. And it's known as Al-Ma'wa for a few reasons. Mufassirin have mentioned a few reasons. Some say that it is the gathering place or the refuge of all the souls of the martyrs, the shuhada that are killed in jihad or in fighting for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There all their souls gather and it is a place of refuge for them. So that's why it's known as Jannatul Ma'wa. Other scholars say that when Adam alayhi salatu wasalam, he was in Jannah, this is the place where he sought refuge, and this is basically, that's why it's known as Jannatul Ma'wa. So anyway, this low tree, it is at this Jannah which is called Jannatul Ma'wa, and the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam saw Jibreel alayhi salam in his original form also at this low tree. إِذْ يَغْشَى السِّدْرَةَ مَا يَغْشَى. And at that time, this sidra, this low tree, was covered by whatever it was covered with. So what was it covered with? Again, the Mufassirin have mentioned various things. It was covered with, some say golden locusts, some say the knowledge, some say angels, and some say different things. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't mention what it was covered with. This low tree, which is right at the end in the seventh sky or the sixth sky, what was it covered with? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only knows best. Ambiguity, sometimes it opens up the door for generality, and that is also, it becomes more inclusive. It becomes more inclusive in the sense that you could say more things and have more opinions about it, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't explain what it was that actually covered the low tree. So I'm going to stop there. But anyway, this surah, it's a very, the one more ayah. مَا زَاغَ الْبَصَرُ وَمَا طَغَى. The Prophet ﷺ, when he saw this happening, he said that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that the eyes didn't flinch from there and they didn't transgress. Meaning that when the Prophet ﷺ was seeing this in front of him, Jibreel alayhi salam, this tree and whatever was covering the tree, all of these wondrous events going on, he didn't look here or there or become distracted. He was focusing exactly on what was going on. مَا زَاغَ الْبَصَرُ وَمَا طَغَى. Meaning he saw again, unflinchingly, very clearly, and without any kind of doubt, he saw what was going on in front of him, and he didn't let anything distract him. لَقَدْ رَأَى مِنْ آيَاتِ رَبِّهِ الْكُبْرَى. Indeed, the Prophet ﷺ saw from the signs of his Lord the greatest sign, meaning this episode and this event of Jibreel Islam seen in his original form. So, like I said, this surah, it's a very beautiful surah. If you read it, the rhythmical recitation of it, it's very pleasing and it sounds wonderful. And on top of that, the meanings are also very, very beautiful. If you want to find out further meanings, you can go into a tafsir and inshallah research it. Inshallah, you will enjoy reading it and researching it. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us tawfiq to understand and practice what has been said and heard.
ما تعود لأهل غزة؟ ما سمعت دعاء لأهل غزة؟ في هذا الزمن لازم هذا